Cheers! Happy summer, everybody! This is, it's another dirty chai, because I'm a dirty, dirty girl. Hello, heathens! Welcome to officially summer. Although the weather has cooled down in the UK, yeah, that's where I think we're going to have a typical British summer. I have dressed in my summer finery, so this is my version of a summer shirt. Do you like it? I've got my heart-shaped glove. Anyway, I'm ready. I'm ready for those festivals I don't go to. I mean, I read a lot in summer, although I might go to BST this year again. Fingers crossed. My company tends to get us in, so I'm hoping at least I'll do something. You know, all the lovely fun stuff that happens in summer, including summer reading. So that's why we're here, let's be honest. So I have a stack of books that I am going to recommend as summer reading. So I'm going to have a few of these videos. The next one I'm doing is specifically around crime and thriller reads for summer, because I don't know, I am in such a summer crime mood, right? I think it's perfect for sitting out in the sunshine, sitting by the pool, on the beach. You know, they're not that demanding, they're fun, they're fast-paced. I love a good thriller or a good crime book. So I'm going to be doing a whole nother video. I do have a couple in this one. And then I've tried to pick some books from kind of every genre. So I have, like I said, I've got thrillers, I've got a bit of sort of like romance, horror, witchy stuff, dark romance, Mafia, but books that I think are specifically good for the summer season. So let's start with one of my most recent reads, and such a surprising sleeper hit that I absolutely loved. I think I mentioned this in my June TBR video that I was reading this, and that is Ronald Melfi's Senseless. Now, to say this was a cover buy is an understatement, right? I mean, I'm just a girl who likes pretty things. So this cover, very pretty, very pretty. And I kind of stumbled upon this, and it was in the horror section at Waterstones. Now, what I personally would say, just my opinion, don't come for me, I don't really feel like this is a horror. I would say this is more crime noir. It has some elements in it, but my horror threshold is like up here, right? I don't necessarily get horror, but it depends on your level. So again, this is my first Ronald Melfi book I've actually read. I've got some more on my TBR. So I don't know if this is kind of his standard fare or not, but this book was so good. And I would say this is a 5-star thriller for me, and I don't easily give 5 stars for thrillers. So the two I have in this video are two of my absolute favorites. So this book is perfect for summer. Why? Because first of all, it's set in California, around Hollywood, the film industry. I personally, for me, anything set in California and Miami specifically, it just screams summer, and I've got the next one set in Miami. So it just kind of gives me those summer vibes. Like, I'm thinking if I'm going to go on a summer holiday in the States, it's got to be California, it's got to be Miami, right? Also, this opens up in the desert where the body of a woman is found, and she is mutilated in a specific way. So we have 3 storylines. The detective that's looking at this case and trying to figure out what happened. And you've got kind of the current body that was found, but then you also find out about a previous case where there was a similar MO. The second storyline is of a Hollywood like writer, producer guy. He's trying to get a movie made, and he's also celebrating engagement to his new wife, and there's a lot of drama with his son, so that's kind of like Hollywood family drama. And then you've got a third POV from the human fly. Yes. A man that describes himself as a human fly, and that's kind of where I guess the horror weird element comes in. So this, I would say, had sort of really some really kind of weird elements, but like the right kind of weird for me, because there's a book coming up that I didn't like in weird, but this had the right kind of weird for me. And he gets obsessed with a girl at a certain club, and there's some weirdness that happens there, and then all of those 3 storylines sort of mesh in the end. I thought that was fantastic. I still think about it, which again to me is the mark of a good book. Like I said, proper summer thriller, noir, horror-ish, slightly odd vibes. Love this. I love it. It's so good. Then the next one is Dark Corners by Megan Golden. Now, I read The Night Swim, which is Megan Golden's other book, kind of in this series, although they're totally standalone. You can read them on their own. But this is about Rachel Kroll, and the premise is that she was a reporter, and she's now a really famous, she does a really famous crime podcast, right? So she investigates crimes, and the first one She investigated, I think she was in Annapolis, investigating 2 crimes, one current and one previous, and covering a trial there. And in this one, we're in Miami. So, I mean, look at that. I mean, I think I match that cover, right? That's like me by the pool in Miami with a cocktail. Anyway, it's like in my head, that's where I am. So this is set in Daytona Beach and in Miami. And Rachel Kroll gets a call from the FBI asking her to come down to the prison in Miami, and they don't really tell her why. And when she gets there, they want her to talk to one of the prisoners because her name has kind of come up in conjunction with this prisoner. And then you have because this prisoner also had another visitor, which was a girl who is a online influencer. She's like #vanlife. So she's got this huge social media presence where she travels around like the country and around the world. I don't know if it's the world, but around the country and the States in her van. And she's like camping and going to festivals. She's like a Burning Man. And, you know, she's an influencer, right? Very Instagram, YouTube famous. And they're trying to work out how this guy who's in jail and this woman is connected and how Rachel Kroll fits into it. You know, he's been in jail for a certain crime, but they suspect that he may have committed some other crimes. And there's lots of different strands to it. Really interesting, in my opinion. I loved the story. I loved the intricacy of the different strands of the story. You get another POV in this as well. I also loved that kind of influencer bit. So part of this is that Rachel then attends like a conference, I think they called it like BuzzCon in this hotel in Daytona. That's like an influencer conference, right? And you kind of get a behind the scenes peek at like this influencer life, and obviously everything is not as it seems. You know, they're there taking the selfies and it's like, and then they're shouting at each other in the background, and you know, you start to see how fake that whole world is. And how this girl who was supposedly this presence online, no one really knows who she is, and it feels like she's kind of fake to her identity. And it's so good. I actually prefer this one to The Night Swim. This is like a 5-6 star thriller for me, and I almost never give that for thrillers. Most of my thrillers are like 3.5 star thrillers, 4 star. If it's really good. But like I said, Senseless and this one specifically, love it. But the summer vibes are immaculate. They're around the hotel with the cocktails and the beach, and she's running on the beach, and it's Miami and it's warm, and it's the perfect summer thriller. Then let's go with this one. So we're switching genres now. We're going into sort of more fairy tale magical-esque feel, right? This is an oldie but a goodie. So this is House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig. I have mentioned this before. I love Erin A. Craig's work. And this is kind of a take on the 12 Dancing Princesses, but why I think this is perfect for summer, if you want something magical. This is also YA, but if you want something magical and fun to read, and it's not too long. This is about a family who that it's all based on shipping, and the island they live on is all to do with fishing and shipping. So it's just that perfect vibe. And then you have this family who is slightly, well, people think they're either cursed or something's going on, because out of the 12 daughters, the daughters keep dying. And one of the daughters is trying to figure out what's happening to her sisters. And there's also this bit about where they go to this kind of almost magical realm to dance the night away. It's very beautiful. It's kind of got like some gothic horror-y elements, but just in a beautiful kind of dark gothic fairy tale way. And then all sit around the sea and the ocean and the sea imagery and the island imagery. So I think if you're looking for that kind of vibe, but something that would be cool to read on the beach, I think this one really works. Then in that same vein, this book. So this I've literally just read. This is a 2025 release. This is Upon a Starlit Tide by Cal Woods. I read Cal Woods' other book, After the Forest, which was kind of like Hansel and Gretel-y themed, and I really loved that. This one is an amalgamation, well, it's based on kind of Cinderella and the Little Mermaid. And it's funny because I mean, look at that cover, right? That cover just screams. I mean, it's gorgeous. And it's funny because I like to go into my books blind, right? So when I actually go to read them, I don't even read the synopsis, nothing. I just kind of go in. And while I was reading it, I was like, oh, that bit, because she goes to like she's our main character is the adopted daughter of this kind of guy that owns the fleet of ships. This is historical as well. It's like an historical setting. And she has two sisters, and there's a point where they go to a ball, where they're invited to a party, to a ball, and there's kind of a question of whether or not our main character, she's going to go, and then her sisters go, and you know, that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, that's really Cinderella-esque. And then when I kind of reread the synopsis, I was like, oh, it is Cinderella-based. And then there's a Little Mermaid aspect to this as well. So sometimes when you get books that are referencing something else, you kind of come out of it and go, oh, well, I didn't see that reference. But with this one, I really did see the references. So what's this about? So I said, like, this is historical, about a rich family who owns a lot of ships. The father in this, he's a sea captain, and he apparently found our main character, this girl, this child, one day abandoned, and he brought her home, and he's raised her as part of the family. And in this world, you know, the girls are meant to be pretty, they're meant to marry rich. She is a bit wild. She's got disfigured feet, so that obviously sets her apart. It causes criticism and people to laugh at her, but also she is really drawn to the ocean. She kind of dresses in boys' clothes and she runs off to the beach to see her friend who is a sailor. She has a bit of she fancies her friend, and of course, because they come from very different social standings, you know, that is frowned upon, but she's also got this dream of just going out on the ocean and being a sailor, and her friend is like, I don't know if you can do that. And then the book starts off as well where there is a shipwreck and a man is washed up on shore, and she kind of saves him. And it turns out that he is the son of another very wealthy family with a fleet of ships. And kind of the story kind of goes from there. You've got like fae magical elements, sea, you know, siren type of elements. You've got like water spirit kind of elements. I just found it so immersive and so much fun and so much of an adult like fairy tale. And again, I think this would be beautiful just to read in the sunshine, by a beach, on holiday. It's fairly long, but I think, you know, you can just kind of immerse yourself into the story and have this kind of almost Cinderella, Little Mermaid-esque story with a bit of romance. I loved it. I really love Cal Woods' writing, really speaks to me. Her characters, I love it. Speaking of Little Mermaid reimaginings, woo! Hold, please. Oh, that's to remind me about another book. Hi, I'm back. So, Little Mermaid reimaginings. This one's Hexed. So I know I spoke about this ad nauseum in my previous video, so I won't talk about it too much, but this is Emily McIntyre. This is a Satan tier book for me. This is dark romance, but is loosely based on The Little Mermaid. So all of this is all set like you've got a fair, you've got the ocean, you've got the boardwalk. Our main character's Ursa, Vanessa, she's the sea witch. You know, this is Mafia romance as well. I absolutely love this. I love Emily McIntyre's books anyway. I've not been disappointed by a single one, but this one specifically I think is beautiful and perfect if you want a dark romance summer read with all of the fun kind of ocean based imagery. It's perfect. I mean, look at that, like, it screams. Again, you could match your outfit to that, you know, get your pink bikini. Anyway, then let's do some more kind of horror-esque books, right? Because even though it's summer, we like a bit of horror. So the next one, and that was a bit of paper that was especially remind me of it, is, because I don't have the physical book, is Dearola by Jennifer Thorne. Now, I love this book. So I read it last year, and I think it is the perfect summer holiday thriller. So Dearola is about a family vacation gone wrong, basically. So this family goes off to Italy on a family vacation. Now, again, Italy to me is very much summer vibes, right? Anything that's set in Italy, I've got another book set in Italy. Again, it just gives me all the sunshiny, summery vibes. So they go off to Italy on the summer holiday, and right from the start, the driver that's kind of taking them to this house that they've rented in this Italian town is like, oh, that's where you're going. Sure, good luck with that. And just like weird, creepy things start to happen in this house. The family's kind of infighting, blaming each other. So there's a lot of like family drama, but also just like a weird shit going on, right? And again, I just think it's so creepy. It's so kind of odd and weird, but at the same time, because it's set in this beautiful kind of Italian setting, it is the perfect summer horror read. So I definitely recommend that one. Now, the next one, full disclosure, I did not like this book. Okay, this book was not for me. However, I'm still going to put it in this video because of the summer vibes and because I know that there are going to be people that will enjoy it. I've seen a few booktubers that have kind of opposite taste to me. So I sometimes like watching people that have opposite taste because I just think it's interesting to see their view. Really love this book. So I know they loved it, but I didn't, which kind of tracks, it makes sense, right? So this is Lost in the Garden by Adam S. Leslie. So again, this cover couldn't be more beautiful. I bought this book because it was billed to me as, it's a bit like Midsummer. So if you've seen the film Midsummer, I love that film. So is it Swedish? But it's basically set at Midsummer, at the Midsummer Festival, in this kind of weird culty town. So you've got these like British and American tourists that end up in this town, and it just goes wild. If you're looking for a good summer horror film, I absolutely recommend Midsummer. This was not Midsummer. So I was just disappointed from the outset. It is also a bit of a weird book, and unfortunately it wasn't the kind of weird for me, but it may be for you. The reason it's also perfect for summer is that the setup for this is that it's basically post-apocalyptic. So the world has gone to hell because suddenly the dead have risen. Okay, the dead are coming back, but they're not like ghosts, spectral ghosts. They're corporeal ghosts, and they can also hurt you. So things have just gone a bit wild, right? And then people keep disappearing, and they keep going to this place called Allenby, where I suppose that kind of Midsummer thing comes in because it's just this weird, odd, like cultish town. But I would say half of this book, we're actually on a road. It's a road trip book. We're actually on a road trip to Allenby. So you have this kind of setup. Also, the world has been in summer perpetually for like, I don't know, 5-6 years. It's just always summer, right? So, you know, and kind of the descriptions of the landscape and the flowers and that, I think it is very summer coded. So like you have to read this in summer. But the main premise here is that you've got 3 friends. They get in a car and they're all going off to go to Allenby. One of them is going to find her boyfriend. The other one is going along because she fancies the girl that's going to find her boyfriend and she just wants to spend time with her. So there's also like a queer romance in this. It is Pride Month in June. And the other girl is going to deliver a weird package to someone in Allenby. And like I said, the first like half of this book, literally them just on this road trip and kind of encountering weird stuff and weird people. Like I said, it wasn't for me, but if that sounds good, I mean, I'm really annoyed I spent the $10.99 on it, but maybe get it from your library. It might be something you like. Try it. But if you want summer vibe with like a weird dystopian horror-esque leaning, this might be the one for you. Then, speaking of Pride Month and horror, there's 2 books by Dearola S. Dawson that also have perfect summer vibes. So we've got Bloom, which is a very short little book about, it's got a sapphic romance in it as well, and it is about a girl who meets another girl at the sort of farmer's market in this lovely idyllic town, and it's all very pretty and idyllic, and she makes these lovely baked goods, and it's all lovely until it's not. Okay, so the second half of the book, woo, okay, we go wild. So there's that one. Again, it's perfect for summer. And then I also think that Guillotine, Dearola S. Dawson's other book, which I actually preferred personally. This one is about a girl who wants to be in fashion. And she has this, like, she gets this sort of rich boyfriend. She's not really into him because he's a bit of a douche, but she's with him because his mother is a fashion designer. And he's kind of promised to introduce her to the family, and he takes her to the family home, like on a vacation, like for a weekend. And again, things go down. Basically, they're very rich and they're very snobby, and the servants have had enough. And they want revenge. So it's a bit of a take on like Marie Antoinette, the French Revolution. It's very good. I actually really love Guillotine. And I guess that's a controversial opinion because I think most people prefer Bloom. I actually prefer Guillotine, but I think both of them work as kind of summer horror-esque, and both of them are not that long. So if you want something that's quick, if you don't invest loads of time in it, they're perfect. Right, I need another drink. Next. Let's do some witchy vibes, okay? This book, again, this is a very recent read. I've just finished this. This is The Keepers of Matson Vallow by Wendy Webb. And, man, I love this. Now, again, I'm not sure if this is going to be for everybody, but this one was for me. So again, really beautiful. Look at that cover. This is also set in late summer. I think it's August in here. And this is, I think, if you like Alice Hoffman books. So here is an aside. Okay, strap in. I was obsessed with Alice Hoffman as a teenager. I must have read probably about 80% to 90% of all of her books that had kind of come out, and through the years I've read some more, so I've read a lot of Alice Hoffman books, and I was obsessed with that sort of particularly that kind of magical realism that she does, where it's all very real world and then you just have that little sprinkling in it, and it's all very much around family drama and family interactions and people and histories and things like that. And I love that about Alice Hoffman books. So I think if you like that vibe, you'll like this. Also, as an aside, I will get back to this book, I promise. When I was kind of thinking about Alice Hoffman, one of the things I'm going to do for next month, for July, is I'm going to be looking at all of the books over the last, I don't know how many years, that I have either rated very highly or said these are my favorite books or really enjoyed, and ones that I haven't picked up of late. And I'm going to reread them and see whether or not they still resonate with me. So there may be some Alice Hoffman in there. Of course, Alice Hoffman is very famously the author of Practical Magic, which would also work, I think, for summer. Practical Magic, both the film and the book, would be a beautiful magical realism summer read. So that's an aside. So look out for that. But back to the Keepers of Metzenvallow. So this one has a bit of like Nordic inspired mythology as well, which I loved, because that's where like the family history in this book talks about like the Vikings and Nordic and the spirits and all of that. And there's the grandmother in this tells a beautiful tale of the family. But the main driving force here is Metzenvallow. So the titular location is the kind of family home in this beautiful Lake Superior, I think. And this is where the grandmother's lived. She's been the keeper of this estate, and she passes away. And the family then comes to obviously say goodbye to her, and also for the reading of her will. And as part of her will, she's actually made a video, and where she kind of talks about this tale of the family, and where she bequeaths Metzenvallow to one of her granddaughters. And of course that causes a bit of a friction, because the grandson is not that bothered. So he's the brother of Annalisa, who is the granddaughter that gets Metzenvallow, but the other granddaughter, who is her cousin, not so excited about that. So it causes a bit of family friction. So you have a lot of kind of family drama in this, but you also have this sort of magical aspect of, are there really spirits? What's kind of going on at Metzenvallow? What does it mean to be the mistress of this estate? And then things just start happening, like Annalisa, who's been bequeathed this estate. Her mum has always been very flighty, very hippie, very dippy, but she goes out one day and she doesn't come back. And then she falls like into a coma, and they don't know why, and they don't know what happened to her. And then another accident happens. There's like weird things happening that you're like, what is going on here? Is this magical? Is this real? Is someone messing with them? There's also a bit of a storyline where the aunt, so she suddenly got married to this guy out of the blue, and she's like in her 70s, and they suddenly got married, and they're trying to work out, who is this guy and what does he want? You know, is there something more going on with him? So you've got sort of almost that sort of, but very mild crime aspect, and then obviously the beautiful imagery of this estate, and I was really immersed in that, and this little town around it. And there's a light love story in here as well. But I just love the vibes. I love the whole feel of this book. And like I said, I guess it's not gonna be for everybody, but if you sort of like that, and if you like Alice Hoffman style books, I think you'll like this one. I definitely want to read more Wendy Webb. I think she wrote The Haunting of Bryn, what was it? The Haunting of Bryn something or other. I think she's the author. Yeah, the Haunting of Bryn Wilder, which I haven't read, but I have seen, so I might give that one a go. Then some more witchy loveliness. These two books. So again, if you've been around here a bit, you'll know my obsession with the Carrie Thomas series. Witch series. This is the first book. This is Threadneedle. I need to get to the second one. It's just a chonker, and I just haven't had time. But I loved this first book, and I do have the second one. And this is kind of a contemporary witch story set in London. So magical, so beautiful, gives me like the Craft vibes, gives me Practical Magic vibes, gives me Sabrina Teenage Witch, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, all of those. This is I hugely recommend that series. But she has written 2 novellas in that series. And the thing is, you don't have to have read the original series to enjoy these. They're kind of standalone novellas and they're really short. So again, if you want something quick and if you want something witchy, and literally, so both of these are set in summer, and you don't want to invest time in the entire series, you can absolutely read these separately. So you've got the Hedge Witch and you've got the Burial Witch. So these are about 2 of the characters we did meet, but like I said, you don't really need the context. So in the Hedge Witch, we have Rowan, and she is a 15-year-old girl. She knows she's a witch. She comes from a family of witches. They are kind of like green witches. So their magic is to do with plants, anything to kind of do with plants, right? And again, the magic system in this whole series is so good. I love it. It's one of my favorites. There's all kind of different kinds of magic. So in this one, we encounter people that have like moon magic and dream magic and time. There's all just all these different types of magic, which I really love, which you get quite a bit of in here. But this one focuses on Rowan, and her parents send her to her aunt in Wales, in this little town in the middle of nowhere in Wales for the summer, to learn more about being a hedge witch. So her aunt is a hedge witch. Like, actually, she physically goes into a hedge. It's very cool. And she's not that excited about that because, you know, it is the middle of nowhere. She's a 15-year-old girl. Really, all she's interested in is finding a boy to kiss. She's not having much luck with that, unfortunately. And then she makes friends with one of the girls in the village and 2 of the boys that are there for the summer. And then you kind of see their friendship and sort of what happens there. There's also, her aunt is very eccentric, very weird, very fun, can be very grumpy. And her aunt has a partner, Llewellyn, who is he hunts mushrooms all the time. So if you like mushrooms and you like discussions on mushrooms, you will love this. I know some people are really obsessed with mushrooms. There is a lot of mushroom talk in here. But it's just fun and gentle in that sense around the magic. There is also something happening in the town where there's all sorts of weird things going on, and clearly someone's using magic, but the Cowan, as they call them here, or the Muggles, for Harry Potter fans, you know, the regular folk, the non-magical folk, it's like, you can't keep doing this because they're going to figure out something weird's going on, you know, and they're trying to figure out who's doing all these things, like just removing words of signs and making things go backwards. Nothing terribly harmful, but just some like weird stuff going on. So there's that little bit of intrigue. And what I also loved about this is very much like a coming of age story as well in the way for Rowan, because Rowan, as she describes herself, is robust, and not sort of she has very, you know, she kind of has low self-esteem, and particularly when it comes to boys and the way she looks and her physical appearance, and something I can completely relate to. She tugged on my heartstrings, and her kind of internal monologue, I just thought for such a short book, I actually got a bit of an emotional punch from it, and I really loved it. And again, I just love Carrie Thomas's writing. And then this one, I literally bought this today and read it. So this came out, actually I may have gotten it a day early, but it's literally come out right now. It's like, what, the 3rd today, and I've read it because also it's like 160 pages, but it's so good. So this one is actually Miranda, one of our other characters, and she comes from a biracial family. So her mother's actually Nigerian heritage and her father's British, and her mom they're very involved in the church, very religious, very involved in the church. You know, she kind of volunteers in the church. Everything is around the church, around the teachings of God, all of that. And her mum doesn't really talk much about her heritage. And I found this really interesting in the sense that we talk about kind of religion. We talk about, you know, where do you come from, you know, hiding things about who you are. And she's doing like a history project on her family history. And she goes up into the attic and she finds this box. And it infuriates her because she can't open the box. So she's trying to figure out, like, what's in the box? Okay, how do you open the box? And then out of kind of desperation, she ends up going into a shop that is kind of the local occult shop. And of course, she's always been warned, you know, not to go there. Apparently there was a petition not to have it open because, you know, the devil and the occult and, you know, all of that stuff. But she kind of finds Maya in there, who is a witch, who knows a lot about witchcraft. And it kind of goes from there, and they have some really interesting discussions. She also meets a girl in her kind of church group that she may like, and she may be writing some poetry in her head about her. But again, I think it packed punch in terms of touching on a lot of really important and interesting and thought-provoking topics for such a short book. Plus, it was just a fun story. And again, it's set in summer, so this is the summer vacation, and you know what she's doing on her summer vacation. She's very studious, so she's trying to get ahead of her projects. But yeah, if you want something magical, it's perfect. And then the last category I have is kind of dark romance Mafia. So I've got these two, and I've spoken about them recently, so I won't go into too much, but I just think if you want summer dark romance Mafia, these are the books. So this is my dark fairy tale by Gianna Darling. This is set in Italy, so about a girl again whose father comes from this area in Florence, and he's always said, don't you dare go to Italy, it's bad vibes, don't go. Of course, what do? Parents, can I just suggest, don't tell your kids not to do something, because that's exactly what they're gonna want to do. Okay, yeah. So there's my parenting advice. But obviously she goes off to Italy, tells her parents she's in France, and on her first few hours there, her rental car breaks down. This guy stops and apparently wants to help her, but he actually tries to assault her, so she runs away, and then gets hit by another car driven by our hero, who is the head of the mafia. Again, this was I think this was built as like a bit of a Cinderella retelling, and he does kind of take her back to his incredible palatial home. He looks after her, takes her to vineyards, he buys her beautiful clothes, and all the while she doesn't know who he is. And it's their romance. I know some people didn't like it. I just feel like if you want no thoughts, empty, set in beautiful sunny Italy, perfect for summer, I really liked that. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I will definitely be reading the second book when it comes out, I think in October. And I kind of liked their love story. So I liked it. I'd recommend it. And then the other one is The Brutal Prince, and this is by Sophie Lark. Again, this is a very summery dark romance cover, right? With the strawberries. And this one is the first book in the Brutal Birthright series, and it follows Ada and Callum. And Callum is from the Irish Mafia and Ada is from the Italian Mafia. And why I think this is perfect for summer is the way it starts is Ada's family, so the Italian family, sitting outside, by the lake, having dinner. And she looks over and she sees the fireworks from the house across the lake, which is the Irish Mafia's house. And they're having a birthday party for their daughter. And Ada, is her name Ada? I might actually be giving her the wrong name, but let's just check. Ada, yeah. And Ada is very, she's a bit naughty, she's a bit rebellious, and she basically talks her brothers into going over to the other house and kind of gate crashing the party. And because she is who she is, she manages to set the curtains in the library on fire. And they have to kind of very hastily make a retreat. But they are seen, and Callum and his bodyguard come after them, and her brother actually ends up paying the price for what she did. So in order to kind of resolve this dispute between the families, the two fathers decide, as you do in Mafia fashion, we're going to get married. Yes, Callum has to marry Ada. They're not happy. So Callum is kind of the oldest son. I think he's in his early 30s. She's in her early 20s. She sees him as cold and distant and no. And he's she's vapid and stupid and too young. So they really don't, it's like enemies to lovers. They really don't like each other. But actually, over the course of the book, they learned to very much appreciate each other. And I loved their romance. I loved it. And again, if you want dark romance, but not too dark, Mafia romance, set in summer, you'll see how the strawberries get into the story. It's fantastic. I loved it. So those are my recommends. Let me know if you've read any of them, if you recommend any great summer books. And like I said, I will be back with a lot more summer recs, particularly crime books. So yeah, if you're here still, send me a strawberry emoji. I'll see you soon.